Well, thank you so much for joining us here today. I know how valuable everybody's time is, and I always make an effort to make sure that we really respect your time and give you value. And today is going to be no exception. You are in for a real treat. We're going to be chatting today with Charlynne Boddie, and we're talking about negotiating from the hood to Hollywood, which is a title that really caught my attention, and I hope it caught yours. So, welcome, Charlynne. I can't wait for this conversation.
Oh, Cindy, it's my pleasure to be with you. Thanks for having me.
And for those of you who don't know her, Charlynne Boddie she's got such an interesting background. She's an ordained minister. She's a seasoned media professional. She's a Hollywood producer, an author, an international life coach. She served as a corporate, police, and military chaplain in the US and across Europe as well. And she was a former lead press officer for the White House, ambassador for Israel, and recent Pentagon instructor who's worked in both the Clinton and Bush administrations for several of America's largest national disasters. So she comes to us with some serious chops to be talking about the breadth of negotiations and how we can apply it in life to get better outcomes. So as I said, Charlynne, you've got such a broad range of experience. Can you tell us how did you came to do the current work, this sort of life coaching, if you will?
Well, you know what? I found myself, surviving a head on collision, Cindy, one
Mhm.
night where a drunk driver hit me head on and another car T-boned me in the same accident. The other car was a hit and run and took off, left the scene
Oh,
of the accident. The drunk driver was handcuffed immediately, and I could smell the alcohol from
yeah.
inside my totaled car. I had
Wow.
to be cut out of the car. They could not get me out of the car. They had to cut me out, and that opened up the door for about 6 years of rehab. And sitting in bed many days thinking, oh my gosh, I had my wonderful federal career. Now what?
Yeah.
It's taking longer to recoup than I thought. And some ideas came to me about a seminar about vision. And I thought, I'm going to coach myself through this.
Yeah.
And then realized, you know what? This is not just for me, it's for others. And
Yeah.
I call it the Extreme Dreams Seminar.
Yeah. What an experience. It's like a 911 episode. I mean, it's like, holy smokes.
Really? Oh, yeah, that was a frightening night.
Oh, I can't imagine. You've had quite the life. Now, and you happen to mention about coaching yourself through it. What role is negotiating your own mindset played in success? I'm a big advocate that negotiating our own mindset is our first and most important negotiation. So I'd love your perspective on how negotiating your mindset helped play into your success.
Well, you know what, Cindy, you're so right. And I could not agree with you more. People out there do call me a mindset coach today for various reasons.
Nice.
And I think it starts with yourself. How can you coach someone else if you haven't been there yourself?
Yeah.
And at the time of that head on collision, that was the third car accident I did not cause in 10 months.
Wow. That's
So,
crazy.
yeah, it's crazy. And so
Yeah.
my body was really in shock and trauma.
Yeah.
And there were about 14 different doctors in that time period that were saying various things to me. And they were basically saying, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. If not that, then this will happen.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of negative talk I was hearing from outside of myself.
Yeah.
And I really had to think, are you going to get out of this bed? Are you going to die in this bed? Are
Yeah.
you going to let your own brain be mush? And I started talking to myself. And I believe in prayer and medicine. I love the scientific world. And I know these people go to school a long time to help us. But I also know the power of prayer because medicine doesn't always work.
Yeah.
And so I said to myself, wow, who am I going to believe? Am I going to really believe in my faith at this time that I can get out, that my memory will come back? Because I had a serious brain injury and spinal cord injury and internal bleeding that went on for 6 years that they could not stop. And so, I had to really give myself a long, hard chat and I had to negotiate with myself every day. You will get out of bed.
Yeah.
You will walk a mile. And we add, start with 10 minutes of walking because my whole spinal column was a wreck. And
Yeah.
then let's add another 5 minutes and then keep going. And that's the kind of negotiation I did every day. You're going to add 5 minutes, Shar,
Yeah.
to your walk every day.
I think people so undervalue the power of like our brains try to give us what they think we want. So when we let that inner critic and that negative talk get in, our brain will look for evidence of that. But if we do what you did, the opposite, where we
Yeah.
choose really empowering messages, our brain will live into that for us. We'll start so powerful.
Yeah. Well, and Cindy, what you're saying is so true because guess what? I will say to all of my clients, you listen to yourself more than anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. And yet we
And
talk to ourselves in ways that we would never dream of with other people. I mean, it's just,
yes, it's like if we cannot get past this noggin here,
yeah.
then how in the world can we be, you know, an inspiring force outside of ourselves? And I thought, wow, you've got to get out of this bed. And I started writing down some downloads I really felt that were God inspired. And I thought it was just for me at the time. But over time, I found out that many people with trauma started coming to me.
Yeah.
And I thought, hey, what I got downloaded, this is for really everybody in the world across 7 spheres of influence.
Yeah. Now,
So
what do you mean by that when you say 7 spheres of influence? What does that mean?
everything from, you know, I call them the 7 mountains of influence, and they really are arts and entertainment,
Yeah.
they are media, they are business, government, church, family, and education.
Okay, beautiful.
Everything in this world streams from all those areas.
Okay, powerful. Wow. Now, I mean, I guess that you've had quite the traumas layered on, and if you don't want to talk about this, I understand, but I know that you
If I
escaped.
help someone, I'm happily, because I'm fine and I'm healed, and nobody would ever be able to tell how much medical trauma I've been through
Yeah.
or otherwise. And I just really believe, you know, in helping others get through the same. So
Well,
plow
and
on.
not just medical trauma, but I understand you escaped a serial rapist attack as well. If you, and again, only if you're comfortable, but if you can share a little bit about how you handled that experience, that
Yeah, well, it's funny because my mother had just said to my sister and me, I was raised by a single mom, and she had just said to my sister and me 7 days before my attack, she said, "Girls, mommy might not always be with you. And if I'm not with you, here's a word of advice." She said, "Just remember your faith and remember the name of Jesus." And I thought, yes, okay, we are Christians. Yes, we know that. And I thought, why is mom getting so dramatic? What's the big deal?
yeah.
Well, the big deal, Cindy, was that 7 days later, on the way to a babysitting job, I was going to be kidnapped by a 6'7" man who had just gotten out of prison for another charge.
Yeah.
And he whispered that in my ear, and he said, you and I are gonna have fun.
Oh,
And he told me what he had done to all the other women. And later the police told me that I was the only one that got away. And what I did was ask him very politely in a very scared, you know,
yeah.
teenage voice. I said, "Sir, do you know Jesus?" And he said, "No," and was just screaming at me as he took me away. And I said it again with a little bit more emphasis, with a little bit more authority. And I
Yeah.
said, "Do you know Jesus?" And he said, "No." And the third time, Cindy, is what clinched it. I
Yeah.
said, "Do you know Jesus Christ?" And he said, "No." And he dropped me
Wow.
and just took off. And people saw it and they realized, okay, this isn't somebody this befriending this girl walking down the street with her. This was an abduction
Yeah.
and we need to call 911. And when they did, and they took the witness's statement as well as mine, they said, "Okay, miss, how did you get away? We know exactly who we let out of jail today.
Yeah.
That description fits so and so, and he is a serial rapist, and blah blah blah." And I said, "Wow." They said, "How did you get away?" And I said, "Jesus." They thought I was saying that as a curse word. They
Yeah.
thought I was upset. I said, "No, I'm not cursing. I am telling you that the name of Jesus Christ saved me." And they said, "That's amazing." And it's in the report because 10 years later, Cindy, while I was sitting in a federal self defense class working for FEMA at the
Yeah.
time, they told my story. And I thought, I'm that girl. And I raised my hand and
Oh, wow.
they said, "Wow, we'll go back and tell the guys at the precinct you're okay, you're alive and well." And what a great story. They said, "It's our favorite because you didn't have a gun. You
Yeah.
did not have a knife. You did not even have pepper spray.
Yeah.
All you had was the name of Jesus and it saved your life." And that's probably one of 3 situations where just that name with authority
Yeah.
saved my life from beheading.
Yeah.
I've been abducted twice so far now, twice.
That's insane.
And
And
I've lived to tell the tale.
talk about having the presence of mind, right? And to get curious and
Yes.
pose it as a question. I mean, which is such a powerful, you know, you effectively negotiated your way out of that situation. Now,
Yeah.
on a
Yes.
happier note, I know you negotiated a unique deal with the Gap clothing company. So tell us a bit
Yes.
about that. How did you do that?
Oh, well, this is really wild because by the time I got to college, you know, I was a resident advisor for a girls' wing with like 33 women totally. And we were matched up with a brother wing. And we all decided, the 2 RAs, male and female, decided let's go away for the weekend. But, college kids don't often have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so we said, how are we going to do that? And my sister is such a great artist. She said, wow. She said, I wonder if we could sell some t-shirts. Kids sell cookies, they sell candy bars, to make money for school projects. And she said, wonder if I could design a cool t-shirt that our college student friends would like and all of that. And I said, let's go bigger. I wonder if we could get the logo from a famous college brand.
Yeah.
She goes, well, wouldn't that be kind of illegal? I said, well, what if we go to the head attorney and ask for permission? She's like, can we do that at 18 and 15? And we're sitting at school in Oklahoma and we're thinking about it. And I just called the operator and I got the law offices for Gap headquarters in California. And they patched me through to the senior attorney. And he said, wow, usually I'm seeing people like you wanting a logo on the other side of an illegal action. And he said, but you're asking me before we get to that. And he said, why are you talking to us? I said, because we're in your demographic. He goes, oh, scared of you. He goes, demographic. I go, yeah, because we're college students. And he goes, well, what would you like, Miss Boddie? I said, I would like the use of the Gap logo for a year through a license that you would agree to.
Yeah.
And he said, and to what end do you want to use the logo, Miss Boddie? And it's the senior attorney for Gap. I said, we would like to put it on sweatshirts and t-shirts with our floor motto in our dorm. And he goes, and what is that motto? I said, there's a scripture verse in the Bible that says God is looking for a person to stand in the gap and repair breaches, communication, and what have you. He goes, really? It actually says the gap in the Bible. I said, it does. He goes, what part of the Bible? I said, the Old Testament. He goes, can you give me the reference? I said, yes. And I'm talking to a Jewish attorney, and he loved that. Yeah. He said, so that's in the book of Ezekiel. I said, yes, it is. He goes, and where would this Gap logo be? I said, it would be, sir, on the front, but the scripture verse would be on the back.
Yeah.
And he said, in the full verse with the gap in the verse would be in that. And I said, yes. He said, can I see a mock-up of the art, Miss Boddie? I said, yes, you can. My sister, in those days, we faxed it. This is in the 80s. My sister faxed the art of the mock-up of the shirt to him, short sleeve and long sleeve, and the sweatshirt. And he said, I'll give you your request for an entire year. I said, can we keep all proceeds, sir, so that both floors, all 66 of us, can go on a weekend together? He said, yes. He said, you can have full use of the Gap license for a year with our logo. But I said, but what's the cost, sir? And I was waiting for the bite. He's like, wait for it. He said, I want an extra large sweatshirt, please.
Oh my gosh. But look at the power of asking for what you want, which we don't do often. And women in particular, I find, have been so conditioned not to. So for our listeners there, what a great lesson that is for you as well. Ask for what you want. Think big. Don't let that inner critic be telling you, oh, like your sister, how well, we can do that? Who could do that?
Yeah. I mean, and here's the deal. What you said, Cindy, is so key. Always start at the top, ladies.
Yeah.
Start at the top. Yes, they can say no, ladies. But what if they say yes?
Yeah, that's so.
What if they say yes? And it cost us nothing. And do you know all 66 of us went on a float trip with canoes?
So good.
And it didn't cost us anything.
I love it. I love it. And you obviously have a gift, a talent for negotiating, because you also got a Hollywood A-lister attorney to help you create your production company. So tell us how you were able to get him to do something that I'm sure he would not normally have done.
That's right. He would not do it. That was his firm no at first. And I thought, well, think about it. He's a man, and time and money in the industry is really run typically by men at that time, for sure. A lot more women running studios today than back then in the 90s. But, I found what I'm sharing today to be true across the board. It's if you have an ask that's big enough, and you've done your homework, ladies, you should get that door to open. Yeah. So I, talked to the Colorado Lawyers for the Arts. And by the way, ladies, if you have an artistic idea you want to get off the table, 29 US states have Lawyers for the Arts leagues and groups.
Very cool.
So ours is called COLA because it's got the Colorado logo. It's Colorado Lawyers for the Arts. So we call them COLA. So I called Cola and I said, I would like to go to your next brown bag luncheon and look at attorneys that you all vet
Yeah.
for people like me trying to start a production company. And they told me the next date, and I saw it's like their dog and pony show. Here's what this attorney's specialty is. Maybe this guy does books. Maybe this lady does
Yeah.
music law. Maybe somebody else does TV. Somebody else does film. And I said, I think I need 4 of those because my sister and I are both artists in different ways,
Yeah.
but we want to do a company together. And I found out the one that we really needed. I said, we really need the TV and film guy because that is those big projects, big
Yeah.
dollars, and we want the protection on our intellectual property.
Yeah.
But he doesn't live here. He's in Hollywood. But why did we get to see him at a Cola Dog and Pony show? So I did the research. I thought, what brought him here?
Yeah.
I found out he had 2 daughters in Denver.
Okay.
And so I got his number and I called him in LA. And I said, Mr. Mackler, I would like to find out if you would be interested in being the attorney, the senior attorney for a newly created production company. And he says, no. He says, I do not deal with non-A-listers. He said, are you an A-lister, Miss Boddie? I said, not yet, but I am going to get into that studio system. I believe I am. Well, that's really nice, Miss Boddie, but why in the world would I want to fly to Denver to do that? And I said, I'll buy you lunch. He goes, irregardless of lunch, why would I want to come to Denver? I said, you don't want to see your daughters?
Daughters.
And the line went quiet. He said, how do you know I have daughters in Denver? I said, I'm a good producer. I do my homework.
That's awesome.
And I had him, just that link. He said, and you'll buy my lunch? I said, I'll buy your lunch anywhere you want. And he goes, okay. He got that ticket. He flew to Denver to see his family. Yeah. And he came to lunch with my sister and me. And by the end of lunch, he was laughing his head off. He goes, you girls, I don't know why I'm doing this. He reached in his briefcase. He slapped a contract on the table. And he said, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I believe you. I believe you are going to get the show off the ground. I don't know how you're going to do it, but I believe it's going to happen. And Universal Pictures gave us that break. And we had 3 moments with Oprah Winfrey, the X-Men producer, the senior producer at Disney, personal friend of Walt. Some serious doors open after that meeting with our lawyer, our new lawyer.
Yeah. What an inspirational story. And again, for our listeners, think about what you're hearing there, right? Number one, the preparation, which I always say is such a foundational piece of good negotiation. Do your preparation, whether in business or in your personal lives. And you did that so beautifully, Charlynne. Make the ask, but build rapport. You had done that homework, you built rapport, and showing up with that confidence. What a great story. And then you and your sister went on to create the first Women in Film Award show in Colorado, I believe. Of course, everybody's saying it's impossible. So tell us how you created a sold out event.
Yeah, it was wild because, again, in the 90s, of course, everything in Hollywood was so male driven. There were women working their way up to the top, hence the need for women in film, for all the professionals at every level in the industry. And this is a global professional organization, by the way. But the Denver group was not really on the map. There had never been a women's award show. The Denver Film Society folks at the time said, that's impossible. It was run by men, and they said, no one is going to show up for what I called the unique vision of women in television, film, and video. They just said, no way, Char, you're going to book the ballroom of a hotel? Who's going to show up? I said, everybody who needs to be there that cares about our unique vision as women, storytellers. And they just kind of hemmed and hawed, and they said, oh, we just got your invitation, Char. Is the Denver Film Society expected to come and all this? And I said, we would love to have you. And I just keep that confidence, keep that level head, be positive, ladies, even in the face of opposition, be positive. And they said everything they said politely, but I knew that they were saying we did not think this was going to happen. The next thing I did was get other women who are at the top of their game in media to come stand with you. So guess what I did, Cindy? I called every lady news anchor in Denver.
Smart.
And I said, ladies, we're behind you. We're another professional organization. Would you come and present the awards? I know it's a work night. You're all working so hard on all of our affiliates in Denver, where I mentored myself in television news. I said, would you come and be the first award presenters for something like this?
So smart.
And they said yes. They said yes.
You were ahead of your time. You were
totally. Guess what? They came, the men came, and
Yeah.
the head of the Denver Film Society, bless his heart, walked up to me and said, Charlynne, I have to eat my hat tonight. You did it. He hugged, kissed me on both cheeks in his tuxedo, and I made the men come in black tie. I said, this is black tie. I know you don't think it's going to happen, but please, black tie. Everyone came, even those anchors. We were all in evening gowns. And guess when this happened, Cindy? The night after my head-on collision.
Oh my gosh. Oh, what on earth? That's
And
just
I
crazy.
forgot my ball gown. I forgot it because of the concussion.
Of course.
And one of those news anchors said, Charlynne, my dear, we all heard what happened to you on the police scanner. What are you doing here? She said, we applaud you for being here, but this is just so much. Oh my goodness. They said, this is a night of excellence, not perfection, dear. You do the best you can. We're cheering you on because we don't know how you're standing. I remembered the whole script. My sister and I wrote it. My sister created the award itself. Everything was a sister act that night. Face of opposition, and it came off beautifully.
That's amazing. And again, for our listeners, notice what Char's doing there, which I love. I mean, it just intuitively, she's bringing fundamental negotiation skills to the table. That empathy piece, right? I know this is a night off and you work so hard and we often forget that. We forget to build that rapport, bring that empathy to the table. And in doing that, we get allies, we get people to sort of convert it to come onto our side. That's so, so beautiful.
We even had Broadway stars come to present that night.
Gosh.
That are women. It was all done by women.
Yeah. And also a great lesson from that, I think, is that when you start, like you say, especially in the face of opposition, when you believe in your vision and you keep taking steps moving forward and you get that ball rolling, other people will want to be a part of it and you'll start to get that beautiful momentum. So you've obviously got an uncanny ability to negotiate unique things and you're super creative in doing it. What role do you think creativity plays in negotiation, Sure?
I think it's huge. I think we have to think outside of the box.
Yeah.
We have to look at all the what ifs. And like I said before, yes, someone can always say no, but keep going, keep going. Don't listen to the no, ladies. Keep thinking about what it would feel like to hear a yes and be ready. Because if you get your big ask, be ready with the next thing.
Yes.
You know, once the attorney comes, once that presenter comes to your award show, you know, what is, you know, your next thing? How are you going to honor them? You know, what is in it for them? Always be looking for that win-win situation, you know?
Yeah, what is in it for them? We often forget that we're so conditioned. We see negotiations that is win or lose. So we're just focused on what we want and presenting our position as opposed to thinking, what can I get them out of this? Right. So that's beautiful. Now, do you have some mantras that you use for negotiating success?
Yeah, I'm like, you know, it's yes, you can do it. And yes, all things are possible is something else that's huge. And I always say to myself, go for the big ask, always start at the top. And, you know, what if they say yes? And it's just a reminder to myself, are you ready, Char? For when the shoe drops, are you ready for that next thing? You know, when they say yes, do you have the script ready? Do you have the product ready? Do you have the program ready? I had to ask Hollywood for deep pockets for the 9/11 fundraising ball for all the victims' families.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
And nobody had ever done that before for a natural disaster. That was a first. But President Bush's people said, Char, can you do it? And we did that. And so, you know, if they say yes to all the things I asked for, I had a two-pronged approach with that. I said, we want every A-lister to come.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course, everybody said, we're going to have first class air, first class this, first. And I said, we've got it. We have American millionaires who are going to pay for that.
Yeah.
But if they cannot come, here's that next thing. If they say yes, and you've got their ear, what's that next thing? I said, if they can't come, here's plan B, you know, helping the victims financially. Can you get the A-listers of the world to sign an article of clothing for a silent auction? So Paul Newman was still alive at that time. He gave us one of his famous racing jackets.
Wow.
He signed, and my friend's dad, he bought that jacket at the silent auction for $20K.
Wow. Wow.
And he took the tuxedo top off that night and he wore the Paul Newman jacket all throughout the ballroom. I'll never forget it.
Instant street cred. I gotta love it. That's so funny.
You know, here he is with his bow tie and his tuxedo trousers on, but he's got the cool Paul Newman racing jacket.
That is
you know.
so good. And for our
Yeah.
listeners, circle back and listen to that part again. There was some solid gold advice in there about those mantras. And I mean, you just threw them off so lightly, but they are game changers. Every one of those mantras, if you apply it in your life, each and every one of those are game changers in their own right. Now, with all the hoopla about exploitation of women in Hollywood that we've been seeing over the last number of years, finally shining a light on some of this, what role, if any, do you think that gender plays in negotiation in Hollywood since you've had some experience there?
Yeah, I think it's huge. You know, we're typically, when I say we, I think about my sister and me. How many meetings have we sat in for negotiating with people that want product that we offered? You know, there's a certain way we think about it. I think women work together as sisters, whether you're real sisters
Yeah.
like we are, which was the name of our
Yeah.
show, our EL. We are real, we're film sisters. We talk about film. It was a film review show, but we're sisters.
Yeah.
Around the globe, women work well together.
Yeah.
Yeah, there can be competition out there and what have you, but women work well together. So there's a sisterhood that I think comes into play, whether you're blood tied like my sister and I are, or whether you're not.
Yeah.
It's an incredible thing when women work together. We saw how that worked when we were negotiating, with the big players, these men who wanted some of our product. And we went to Jodie Foster, the Oscar winner,
Yeah.
for some advice.
Love
And
it.
all we did, Cindy, was send her a birthday card, and the door opened for us. I mean, it was a handwritten birthday
Yeah.
card on our logo for our company.
Yeah.
And we got a call that day from her studio. And Jodie was one of the first women to open up their own studio
Yeah.
and in our lifetime. And it's called Egg Pictures. How feminine is that? You don't get more feminine than egg. And so we decided to call it Egg Pictures. And we so admired her
Yeah.
savvy in the business.
Yeah.
And she'd been in the business since, she was a toddler.
Yeah.
So we called upon her for some advice. Anytime we needed advice, women on her staff, they gave it to us. Jodie said, give it to them. Those are the real sisters. I like them. I like their vision. I like what they're doing. Give them whatever they want. And they always did.
Oh, that's such great advice. And it's funny. I'm glad you talked about that sisterhood and what women bring to the table, because I think for so long we've been conditioned to define success, in negotiations and business and beyond, based on that really competitive model. And so much so that I think both men and women started to see so-called feminine traits like rapport building and empathy and compassion and creativity.
Yes.
So we saw them as a liability, so we stifled them down. So I love that you're saying, let's celebrate it, lean into those traits, right?
Yeah,
More.
exactly. And just, you never know who's going to say yes. And we just, that just so blessed us. We
Yeah.
thought, wow, if we have this A-lister who is talking to us, and we went back to our lawyer and we said, guess who called us today? He said, I'm not shocked, girls. He said, you got me. Jodie is, saying, give the real sisters whatever they need. We're going to help them. It just so blessed us. And it paved the way. We did not see competition, that dog eat dog thing that you can see sometimes when
Yes.
the other gender, when the men are on the court, it's healthy. It can maybe help somebody get a gold medal. But when you're trying to get to the top, do you step on people to get to the top, or do you work together? And we just found so many sisters who were farther ahead than us at Women in Film LA that were patting us on the back, giving us an atta girl every time they saw us doing something. And cards came from all over the world, from our elders in the film industry, thanking us and encouraging us. Way to go, girls. We heard you got the first award show off the ground. Keep going. From top women directors that we were like, wow. Every time we opened the mail, it was amazing. But that first phone call from Egg Pictures in LA blew our minds. And it let us know, hear this, ladies, that door opened because of a handwritten note.
Yeah.
Snail mail, as I call it, is rare, ladies.
Yeah.
It's a lost art.
Yes.
If you will take on board just that tip I'm giving you today, watch how many doors open to you in your negotiation process.
Yeah. That's amazing. I tell you, Char, you so embody everything that I love about the art of feminine negotiation, everything I envision for the art of feminine negotiation. You've been doing it forever. I love it.
Yay!
Now, what do you see as some of the key reasons that negotiations fail, like on the other side?
On the other side, I think, sometimes we can sell ourselves short. Sometimes, like you said earlier, the ask. sometimes we don't think we have the right or we're worthy enough
Yes.
for that ask. And we are, ladies, we are.
Yeah.
Everyone has that right to ask. I think sometimes you sell yourself short. I think there's second guessing.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we allow people to move us off our agenda. I will tell you, as a media professional who has coached senators and representatives in DC and governors and many others out there, that you want to stay on your agenda.
Yeah.
Stay on your agenda. Don't let them knock you off your agenda. You know, I had to do it with our lawyer. I've had to do it with people who've tried to separate me and my sister
Yeah. I bet.
on intellectual property deals.
Yeah.
And I've said, this is a company project. I'm the president. I love my sister. She's an amazing screenwriter, award-winning now, but we work together. I do not go against my sister. She does not go against me. We are a team. We are a team.
Yeah.
And stick to your agenda, ladies, whatever that agenda is, whatever it is, whether it's your art, whether it's your spoken word, whether it's something that, you know, has a patent on it. You know, one of my friends is the patent holder for the predecessor before the iPhone was the Palm Pilot. You remember
Yeah,
that?
I do. I do remember dating myself.
Okay, well, a lady invented that from Colorado.
Wow.
And she's my dear friend. We often teach
Oh,
together, you know, and we talk about vision. And the thing is that, you know, even a patent that a woman can come up with, you know, do not sell yourself short.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that you get to have your voice be heard. And I think sometimes the ball gets dropped because we don't do the right ask. We do not think our idea or what we bring to the table might be worthy, or we let someone knock us off our agenda, our original agenda.
Yeah. I love that. And together we're stronger. I mean, I love that you stand by that so solidly. It's beautiful in a society where we are seeing so much effort put into polarizing people and keeping us apart, when the key is to be able to come together and finding that strength, and a rising tide lifting all boats. I love it. So why don't you brag on one of your favorite celebrities? I know you obviously are well respected and with good reason, and you do some celebrity coaching as well. Why don't you share one of your favorite celebrity coaching stories with us?
Wow. How about a single mother in London who has 2 sons on her own? There's a couple of things she needed at the time. She could sing, but she had a law degree. So to feed 2 boys, 2 growing boys, she decided to use her law degree. But her real passion, Cindy, was her voice.
Yeah.
And she needed a couple of things when she met me. She needed a nanny. And some people class me as a super nanny. I love children, love family. So that's one of my other hats I wore to put myself through school. And so I said, I will negotiate for you. You know, people care about the treasure in their life, and the treasure for many people is their children. So I said, first thing, Mama, that's on your thing, I want to help you here. She said, my kids, I need a nanny, and I can't do law and try to find a nanny and be a single mom at the same time. I said, I'll do all the negotiating for all the nannies. So I did that for her, and we found the perfect Australian nanny. So I said, nanny to nanny, nannies understand each other. I will find the right nanny for a single mom working hard in central London as a corporate lawyer. So we did that. But then I said, now let's talk about mom. We got the boys sorted. Let's talk about mom. She said, and she started crying. She said, I love singing, but to feed my kids, I'm doing law. I said, you're very good at it too. They had a lovely home in London. She said, but my passion is singing. And I said, what if you stepped out of court for a time? What if we talked about finding you an agent? What if we start working on your chops as a singer and that whole image? And what if you gave yourself permission to start writing songs again? Because that's where the money is in music publishing. Whether you sing or not, the money is in the songs, and you can write. What if we start working on that, and I help you with your grid? So we did the vision grid for her. We looked at her life, all 3 parts of the dream: body, soul, and spirit. And guess what? She started getting bookings to sing for a guy called George Clooney that you may have heard of.
Oh, Jesus.
And then somebody else called Brad Pitt. You may have heard of him. And then she started becoming an annual guest to a festival you may have heard of called the Cannes Film Festival.
Wow.
And she was asked to sing on their yacht every year for many, 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 many thousands of dollars. I think when she started it was something like 60,000 pounds,
Wow.
which is like right now it's like 70,000
Oh,
US just to show up.
yeah.
And
That's
she's
awesome.
so beautiful. She's so adorable
Yeah.
that Prada and Chanel came after her and said, "Oh, would you please model for us?" So I believe in multiple revenue streams. I
Yeah.
call myself Mrs. Charlynne Boddie, although I'm not married, but it's
Yeah.
multiple revenue streams. And we got
Nice.
multiple revenue streams
That's exciting.
so that she could do her passion in the arts world
Yeah.
and sing her heart out. She's even sung for the Queen of England.
Yeah, this is awesome. And going back, and as someone who's practiced law for 30 years, boy, does that resonate with me, let me tell you.
Yeah, oh, I mean, she was a fine lawyer. It's great.
Yeah.
But how people have another, what I call the extreme dream,
Yeah.
where if you're an artist like her, that really the voice wasn't being heard. It was being heard in court, but not to the
Yeah.
global world, which I believe she's called to.
Oh, yeah.
And doing that and seeing her fly like that, going with her in person to Prada Chanel
Yeah.
fittings in London, doesn't
Yeah.
get better than that.
Oh,
Doesn't get
hats off to you. Yeah. Practice law or sing with George Clooney,
Oh my goodness, just incredible. She has sung in
Yeah.
castles, and I mean, just her
Yeah.
voice, I mean, her other voice, shall we say,
Yeah.
opened a different door for her. And I'm
Right.
telling you, Cindy, that's just one of them. We have so many different
Yeah.
celebrity stories that
So exciting. So
but that
exciting. And
yeah,
kudos to you. And I can't believe how fast our time is flowing by here. I normally like to end by saying, what's one of the greatest mindset shifts that you've had, or ask rather, not say, what is one of the greatest mindset shifts that you've had? Doesn't have to even be about anything we've talked about, just an aha moment that had you looking at the world differently.
yeah, I would say not comparing myself to others,
Nice.
but acknowledging my unique handprint.
Yeah.
We all have a thumbprint that is unique to us, and all of our fingers are unique to us.
Yeah.
The biometrics you have are unique to you. And I went to a major studio one day, and I heard very strongly, never ever compare yourself with others. It is a deal breaker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's what I would
Nice.
say. That was the major mindset shift. I would put some celebrity name on what I wanted to be. I said, I want to be the next so and so.
Yeah.
And what I would say to you ladies is, how about you be the best you
You.
incorporated?
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so great. And that, when we compare ourselves, we often, and our brain, we compare ourselves and we always see ourselves on the short end, and it holds us
Yes.
back from achieving our best
Yeah.
potential. It's so destructive. So
Yeah. It pulls you down. It pulls you into the
absolutely.
when
Yeah.
we need to be up in the rafters.
Yeah.
We need to be up in the rafters. We need to be cheering ourselves on from the inside out
Yeah.
and not pulling ourselves down. So that was a major game changer for me. And I didn't realize I was doing it, Cindy, until I
Yeah.
walked into that major
Yeah.
studio, because it was on the way to getting the studio I wanted.
Yeah.
And I wasn't there yet. And I was like, oh, wow. If only
Yeah.
I coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
And I heard instantly, stop that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And the advertising industry certainly has us constantly inundated with images that we're supposed to compare ourselves to. So where can people learn more about you, Charlynne?
I have the ministry website. You heard Cindy say I'm an ordained minister. That's true. But I work in and outside of the church world, of course, having been a government media person, Hollywood producer. So there's a website, but we're working on a new website. So bear with me. But you can get a hold of me at charlynne.com, just CHARLYNNE.com. And you can write me at charlynne@charlynne.com. And that is the website. But we are working on a new one because I've just moved back to the States. And it will be focusing on the coaching aspect of me,
Right.
which so many people in transition are asking about right now.
Yeah. Well, and as soon as you get that, let us know. We'll make sure to put the current information in the show notes. And as soon as you get that update, let us know and we'll add it. Make sure to check
Oh,
out Charlynne's books as well. She's got True Grid and No Appointments Necessary. Lots and lots of value out there for you. So Charlynne, thank you so much. This has been fun. And then your life is like, you got to be doing a movie about it. It's quite remarkable. And thanks for sharing all the gold nuggets that you've got from that lifetime experience.
Oh, so good to be with you. My pleasure, Cindy.
And for our listeners out there, I have absolutely no doubt you got lots of value from this episode. So many practical and inspirational pieces of advice to help you live into your biggest and best self. Make sure to give the gift of sharing. Share this episode with other people who can benefit from some of these messages and empowering sort of mantras on how to live better. And who couldn't benefit from that approach to life? And before we sign off today, just want to share a few ways if you are looking to up-level your negotiation skills so you can negotiate your best life. I've got everything from online to group to my signature VIP and mastermind experiences. If that sounds interesting and you want to help leverage your innate power, and yes, you do have it to negotiate and get more of what you want and deserve in life, check it out at artoffemininenegotiation.com. Make sure to grab my book if you haven't done that yet. Same name, artoffemininenegotiation.com. And that is a wrap for this episode. So until next time, go forth and negotiate your best life on your terms so you can stop missing out and start getting more of what you want and deserve from the boardroom to the bedroom. Until next time, take care.